But you, as a bowler, I mean, you're a lovely bloke, but I wouldn't. I mean, I can't think of many bowlers I would have liked to have faced less than you, especially on a cold day in Durham. I mean, you bowled from height, horrible length, and you weren't always aiming at the stumps, were you?
No, accuracy was my...
Not sure he was aiming at the right word there.
My accuracy was what made me a lot better, because I always worked the theory of I've got no idea where it's going. He's got a lot less chance. So, look, as a person, I was completely different to the bowler. I always felt I had a job to do, and you 22 yards away, didn't matter who you were standing in the way of a lot of times me sitting feet up, having a cup of tea, eating sandwiches and watching our batters bat. And that was the job you had to do as many times. There's a couple of times, I mean, Mushtaq Ahmed at Sussex, I apologised to him as he was walking out to bat. It's like, sorry, Mushy, but this is not going to be pleasant. And you could see him. I was like, I'm one of the nicest men in the world. We're the greatest leg spinners that's played the game. But it's like, no.
I want a break.
What were you aiming for?
I'm ready for my feet up.
What were you aiming for when you were bowling at him?
His gloves, really.
Yeah, you're aiming for his hands.
Absolutely, yeah, and that's your job. I remember David Boone. We played against Yorkshire, and Darren Lehman come out to bat, and Boone, he's like obviously small guy staring up at me, and he's got a ball in his hand, and he's staring up at me, and as he's putting the ball in my hands, he went, "You bowl one ball in his half, and you won't bowl for the rest of the day." So what? He went, "You bowl one ball in his half, and you won't bowl for the rest of the day." I says, "What? You bounce him all day." He went, "I want you to put the ball there." I was like, "Right." I was like, "Every ball?" "Yep, every ball." And he just taught me to rope and bowl bounces at him, and that's how he thought. Darren Lehman getting further and further across the stumps. One of these lads who are very, 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 very accurate will get him in front and try and get him out. Many times you use your skill sets, which was pace, bounce, and not very pleasant when a batter from 7 or 8 down to number 11 walked in. That was a time where you were at your nastiest, and then we played in the dark.
We're in the dark now.
Yeah, and I remember playing against. There was like batters 7, 8 down over. I mean, that's when you were at your nastiest as a fast bowler. It's like, I'm going to try and hit you on the head. I'm going to try and hit you on the head, and then the minute I get somewhere close, you're getting further away from the stumps, and the stumps are mine. And then you just bowl in and around the stump. Because a lot of the time bowling at tail enders was so hard. I mean, so many arguments with KP shouting at me, "Just bowl at the stumps." It's like, what? It's like, bowl at the stumps. I'm not trained to bowl at the stumps. And he's like, "What do you mean you're not trained to bowl at the stumps?" I was like, "Kev, if I bowl at the stumps to you hit me through mid-wicket very, very hard. So we're trained to bowl, just outside or, just above the stumps." And if I bowl at the stumps, he's just going to hit me and dead bat me. And so many arguments were over that. Batters not understanding that the sort of little intricacies of bowling. But when it come to the tail enders, bang, you went at them. I remember bowling Phil Tufnell and Mushy, and I must have missed the outside edge of their bat by that far. And it clipped leg stump. They were that far away. It was, you just turn into a nasty. And I think there was one, we played Kent, and I'll never forget. We needed 9 wickets in the last session of day 4. And Dale Bengenstein said, "Look, Harmy, one spell. If we get a couple of wickets, we've got a chance. But 9 wickets in a session, we're probably not going to get. So start it, get going." Yeah. And I started the spell, we got a couple of wickets. And I'm thinking, right, we can win this. Kept going, very aggressive. It was getting dark. Keezy was at the other end. Keezy had got 170 in the first innings. So we just give up on trying to get Rob Key out and try to get everybody else out. And it came down, and I was like 5 overs to go. And Neil Mallender was umpiring, and I said, "Ghosty, how dark is it?" And he was like, "Getting there." So I went back, and I was like, is it too dark? And I was like 4 balls in a row asking him if it was dark. And he just looked at me and he went, "You can bounce him if you want, and we'll not go off." So poor Robbie Joseph, he's got one, and it's just nipped back, and it got him. It nipped the grill in his ear, and part of his earlobe came off, and he's lying on the floor. And I mean, it was dark, and physio comes on and standing over the top of him, and Robbie was a bit wobbly, He would have gone off nowadays, but he was trying to sort of, I'm going to carry on. And Benke looked at the umpires and he said, are we going to bowl all 4 overs, even if he bowls bouncers? And Neil Maunder said, yeah, we'll finish the 4 overs and he can bowl bouncers. And Robbie's legs went a bit. That was it. We just shook hands and walked off. He retired hurt. So you use your aggression to what you need it for for the tail enders. But I mean, pace, bounce, aggression can go quickly the other way against top order players. Now people say to me, who was the best player you played against? And I always say Ricky Ponting. I couldn't bowl at Ricky. I mean, I couldn't, because if I bowled anything in my natural, close your eyes, natural length, back of a length, in Australia, he hit me miles.
I know. I watched.
And you watched.
But it wasn't just, the thing with Ponting was, so I've been looking into this a lot with his batting, is he can basically play the pull and the hook shot. So you can't bowl the bouncer to get away from him. You can't bowl back of a length because he can pull almost anything. He can pull on the front foot if he needs to as well. But also, he can play the pull shot from, let's say, fine leg to mid-on. So you can't set a field either. There was nothing to do to him in that sort of thing. But I want to get back to you and tail enders. So other than their natural personalities, the thing when it comes to Freddie and Harmy is you look at them. Freddie was terrible at bowling to tail enders, right? Brilliant against top order players, like almost Sean Pollock level brilliant against top order players. Never got a wicket against the tail. Harmy could sometimes really struggle against the top order players. No one could play him. Sometimes you just get a natural partnership come together really well. And you look at some of these teams where they've got brilliant bowlers, but everyone's great at the top order and no one knows how to bowl at the tail. It's a completely different thing to bowl at the tail than it is everywhere else. As he was saying before, you want to bowl a different line, you want to bowl a different length, you're trying to intimidate. You're certainly not going to intimidate Ricky Ponting or Alistair Cook, are you, right? Like even when Mitchell Johnson was bowling at his best, he wasn't intimidating Alistair Cook, it was just that Alistair Cook was struggling a little bit more, right? So it's a completely different thing. So it's great to hear, something like that. And then when it comes down to it, the 2 of the best bowlers I saw against the tail when I looked at the data were Steve Harmison and Shoaib Akhtar. Sometimes pace is pace.
But what's it like then when you are the one that's out there with the bat and the gloves and you're racing to get out there and you're coming up against
It's not
Brett
pleasant.
Lee?
It's not pleasant.
But is it genuinely terrifying?
Yes.
Because Ricky Ponting has got the technique and the skills to combat.
No.
You, with the greatest respect.
No, I didn't have any technical skill. No.
But this is one of the areas where cricket is truly unique. Because you, Steve Harmison, 13th most successful number 11 in the history of England's cricket, but essentially you're coming up against the best bowler in the world on the flattest pitches. You were there in Perth, weren't you? When
I was next
Alex
in.
Tudor was.
I was next in.
Alex Tudor's getting stretched off, holding his eye. You may never see again. And everyone's reaching for the six. And you're going into bat next.
Yeah, I was next in.
So what's that like?
It wasn't fun. Put it this way. I'm sitting in the dressing room and obviously Tudor's lying horizontal waiting to get carried off. It was a horrible hit. And I mean, during that, if you remember right, that series, that was Brett's first game. He didn't play in the first 2 tests, played Bickle. I mean, we played on a concrete slab in the middle of Perth when he had the wind howling up his backside. And this thing was, Darren Lehman mentioned both sit short leg, and he gave me the best bit of advice ever. He just said, you need 250 metres back again. He went, no good, no heroes here. Step away, let him see all 3, and we can go off. And he was, I was like, I tried my best to give it, he bounced me first or second ball. Everybody booed him. He got booed. And I didn't mind that. I didn't mind him bouncing me because I think I would have done exactly the same. But it wasn't, there was times it really, really was unpleasant. I didn't mind facing him. Butch told a story on air about Nasser and Brett in the 5th test match. So we're playing on an uneven one. The one at the Wacker was, if it pitches anywhere near there, I'm ducking. And that I know for a fact, if it pitches there, it's going over my head.
Yeah.
It's the uneven ones. And in Sydney, we played on a one where it was very, very uneven. We were 350 in front, and I think John Crow, Alex Stewart's at the non-striker's end, and Stewie was getting down the other end, and Brett hit me in the arm, hit me in the ribs, and I'm swinging like you'd not believe. And Butch he told the story on air a few times he actually has, and it was like, Nasser, we've only picked 3 bowlers. He's one of them. If we don't declare now, he's going to hurt him. And I mean, because I was more scared at Sydney than I was.
So what are you saying to yourself when the bowler's running in?
I'm saying, make sure you got hands out, and if it's in a position to hit it. I was not looking to defend it at all. I was basically, I always walked out to bat against somebody seriously quick and thinking, if I can play the pull shot, I'll play the pull shot and defend my stumps. If I can't play the pull shot, I'll try and get lower in my stance. I'll try and get under it or try and sway it. And anything that's in and around the stumps, I'm just going to try and golf style, try and swing it as hard as I can and go that way. More often than not, it ended up. I mean, we played in Cape Town against Micaiah, and when we got bowled out for not very many, and I think I ended up top scoring at number 11, and I played every shot in the book. I mean, front foot drive, back foot punch, pull shot, the whole lot. Every single one went to third man. It flew off, and that as a bowler, you go out swing, but there's always a couple of times where you're in with a batter and you then have to knuckle down. And there was one game at Old Trafford when Umar Gul hit me in the head 3 times in the space of 5 balls. I had no idea how to hit. I'm trying to line him up, and he was somebody you just couldn't line up. Ian Bell's at the other end. He's got 95, 96, and this thing just kept nipping back. And every time it pitched, I'm like, oh, ding, ding, just shaking. And he hit me 3 times. The third time, Belly's like, come out, physio's come on, change your helmet. He's like, you all right? Do you need anything? I was like, I need you to get to 100 quickly. Because I have got, every time he pitches it short, it's hitting me because I've got no idea how to get out the way of this and line them up. Because I am now just playing for my stumps. I'm thinking, well, if I nick one, I meant to nick one, I'm a number 11. But don't get bowled, don't get LBW. So make sure you get your bat out in front of yourself because he's on 96.
What's it like to be hit?
It hurts. I mean, it does, it hurts. And that's, irrespective of facing 90 mile an hour bowlers or facing anybody. I mean, just even in the field, you get one hit at you and you get it wrong and it's bang on the hand, it hurts. And that's my big thing about, you talking about under 11s, coaching the other day. And cricket, for me, when cricket gets sold and the money comes into cricket and the money filters down to grassroots, it should be going on facilities to make, pitches 100% better, making outfields 100% better. Because what you want is to teach kids how to play cricket with a hard ball, because that's the game. The game is the hard ball. And the last thing you want is a kid between anywhere up to 13 years old get a ball hit back at them, which is hard. It's not their fault because it's bounced off an uneven outfield or a poor pitch and it hits them. That kid doesn't play cricket ever again because that kid goes, oh, it hurts too much, and you scar them for life because mentally it goes. I've seen so many players. We were commentating in the Durham game the other night, and the likes of Nicky Peng, one of the most talented young players I have ever seen. He got hit in the back of the head, nearly in the same place as where Phil Hughes got hit off Neil Johnson, Zimbabwean all-rounder, and he was never the same again. He wasn't playing cricket within 5 years. How many players, Jarrod, you'll know more than me, but how many players have you seen start off so prominently and get a hard hit, whether it's bang on the arm, more often than not in the head, and then that player is never the same again. And that's what it's like to get hit, because then it's your confidence. It puts doubt in your mind. Well, the biggest example probably ever is Stuart Broad. I mean,
Pekowski's.
Well, Pekowski's even different. But there's a New Zealand one, Bert Sutcliffe, who was going to be their first champion player and was, I think he averaged something like 48 after his first 10 test matches. He gets hit in the head a bunch of times in South Africa, goes to hospital, comes back, drinks some whiskey and goes out to bat again. And they had to pause the game every couple of overs to redo his bandages because of the amount of blood he was still losing. So there's no problem with him being courageous, right? But he said that was it. That was the last day I ever batted properly. Because any other time I thought if someone was going to bounce it to me, I got worried. And
feet don't work.
Yeah,
feet don't work.
Jimmy Adams is another player who had an incredible record. I think he got hit in playing a tour match in England. Someone got him. Might have been Van Troost or something. A bowler like that got it. The players, it changes who you are, and I think, especially for tail enders, it's one of the few times. So I've had this discussion with Butch before, where Butch goes, "You don't know what it's like to face 90-mile-an-hour bowling." I'm like, "No, I don't." Right? I mean, I haven't seen it, so it hasn't mattered. But as a club cricketer, it's kind of the one thing we all do know. We know what it's like to face something that is too quick. Yeah. That when it comes out of the hand, when it's like, I don't know where this is, and I'm not sure what I'm doing at the moment, and I'm here, and I'm hoping I'm roughly in the area of the ball.
And you're telling yourself, get forward, get forward, get forward.
Yeah.
What's the ball? And it's like, you're scared.
But technically you're not good enough. And that's the thing.
Yeah, people, I can't see it.
People go on about, what's it like to face 90-mile-an-hour? I was like, it didn't matter to me. 80-mile-an-hour was fast enough for me because technically I'm not good enough. So no matter what pace you've got, and you've got a great example of a club cricketer. So a club cricketer will face a bowler of 82 mile an hour, where a professional cricketer will say he's not good enough to play Test cricket because he's not quick enough, he's not good enough. But as a club cricketer, you're playing against that. That's rapid. Yeah. So the concept's still the same. It's what's it like to face somebody who's quicker than what your technique is good enough to handle. And that, for me, is where cricket is dangerous. And now the helmet's compulsory in this country, which is so important. Learning young players the technical side of the game is ridiculous.
You know about the science of this too. It's really interesting. So if you get a player in a net who's a really good club player, and you get them with a ball machine at 80 miles an hour, and you get a pro next to them, they'll both look pretty much the same. Right? And then you take the ball machine away and you get a bowler to bowl at 80 miles an hour, and the pro looks great, and the club cricketer now can't play it at all. And it's because they are doing things, and this is why Harmy is sent out to do something he shouldn't physically have to do. He's been sent out to do something, whereas what Kevin Peterson does or Ricky Ponting does when they're facing fast bowling is they watch the first 3 meters of it, then their eyes automatically make a decision. Okay, it's going to land here, so I'm now waiting for the ball to land here and I'll play this shot. Harmy's trying to watch a ball that is moving too fast for his eyes and his reflexes to go, and he's thinking, I'm just going to swing out my butt and hope I get an edge over slip for 4 here. It's a completely different sport, what a tail ender is doing. And we're talking about proper tail enders. We're not talking about someone like Ashley Giles or someone. We're talking about proper tail enders, what they are doing compared to what top batters. It's completely different.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.